Howdy there neighbors, Ian with eTrailer, and today we're going to be looking at the CURT Discovery and kind of taking a look at the functions and then the install for that unit. Let's get right into it. So a couple great things about the CURT Discovery here opposed to some of the other units. It's going to have a very small footprint when it's up there, but if you needed to remove it, it's just a quick disconnect and we can use that nice harness that we've got down there that's going to be just factory plugged. So it's going to look very factory underneath the dash. It's not going to have any butt connectors or connections that you need to make where you're tying into wires opposed to just quick connecting. One other thing I wanted to mention about the size of that, since we're talking about it, is that the Tekonsha units do seem to sit out a little bit further. I've got this one here just to kind of show the difference between what the profiles would be of the two. So you can see the Discovery is going to be a little more flush to the dash if visual appeal is going to be a concern of yours with your brake controller. The Discovery here is going to be the mid-tier as far as the three CURT lines that they kind of compare all of them to. The Venture, the Triflex are going to be your lower end, and then your upper end. This Discovery, like the Venture, is going to also be time activation opposed to proportional activation, so that is something I felt worth mentioning. And then does allow for 1 to 4 axles, 2 to 8 trailer brakes. So that is something to keep in mind because the Venturer is only going to have the 1 to 3 axle option there opposed to 1 to 4. Triflex also 1 to 4 there. And then this unit does allow you to mount at any angle as well. We've put ours here, but if you wanted to put it somewhere else on the vehicle, it doesn't matter what angle you're going to mount it at. And then the settings for this, it does have a few mode options. Of course, your manual mode there. All of your presets for your gain are going to be your orange arrows up and down here. And then your load sensitivity is going to be the black arrows here to be able to adjust those. Now that we've looked at all the great features of the Discovery, let me show you how easy that install is going to be. This particular harness is going to be a 2-foot harness. It does have our end here that will plug directly into the vehicle, and then the opposite plug here is going to plug into our brake controller. And hopping right into the install of our harness here, we're going to come underneath the dash. There are just 2 push pins, one left and one right, that are going to get popped out. You may need to pick up a push pin removal tool off the website as well, or sometimes you can get them off the flathead, just kind of slowly prying those out of there. And then once we've got these push pins removed here, we're going to pull this out just enough we can access this little light for the footwell here. It's just a squeeze type plug. You may have to push a little pressure in and then back out, and it should just come undone, and we'll set that off to the side for now. And this is where that custom plug is really going to come into play. It's just ready for us to go right above this main set of harness. You'll see there's another gray connector that's going to allow for that to just slide in. You'll want to make sure your push release here is on top. And we'll just carefully plug that in. And once that's plugged in, you'll hear that little click, and then you can kind of just give it a little tug to make sure that's in there correctly. We're going to go ahead and get that zip tied out of the way. I've got one spot here. It looks like a little indicator light or something like that that's got a bracket. So I've just got that one zip tie on it. Get that up there nice and snug. And then I'm going to leave this loose for now because we're going to be mounting the brake controller up in this area. One thing I wanted to make sure to mention is since this airbag is here, you can get your hand up over the top of the vents that are under there and that airbag assembly, so that way you can triple check where you're going to be putting this. You wouldn't want to puncture any wires or any lines or run into this airbag accidentally when you're putting the brake controller up. So our CURT Discovery here is going to come with some mounting screws. There's a plate on the back of this particular controller that just slides off these little pinch tabs and then you pull up. It does have a halfway point, so that way if you're kind of limited on space of putting that up there, that'll help with that issue. But You've got the option for the self-tappers. Of course, you could use a double-sided tape if you didn't really feel like tearing into that too much up in your dash. But again, we're going to triple check, make sure there's nothing behind the area we're going to mount. And as soon as I've got this mounted, I'll show you kind of where we're going to run the wires as well. On this one, I did find this little bracket's not in place, so another place to secure that. You may have to find something up underneath that's going to allow you to get that last little bit of the harness out of the way. We've got our brake controller mounted up here, and I'm just going to go ahead and plug that in. And that's as simple as hooking that up. We'll just find another way to kind of get that end routed up out of the way and secured with a zip tie as well. Now that we've got everything set up, we'll just put it all back together, making sure that we do get our little footwell light plugged back in, and then we'll go over testing as far as making sure the system is working correctly. We're going to start our test here just by giving the manual control a good squeeze. It's already at the setting that it just comes from the factory. I'm going to leave it there for the time being, but that's indicating that we do have power at the control unit itself. Now we'll hop to the back of the vehicle and just double check with our tester that all the lights and functions are working. We've got a nice testing unit that we're going to use to double check all of our lights and functions. You can just hook up to your trailer to triple check that everything's working. I've got Trevor up front. He's going to run all of our information. Go ahead and run the manual for me. And we're just checking for that voltage coming through. All right, that'll work. And left turn. You'll have to start it. All right, and right turn. Perfect. And then just brakes. Perfect. Thank you. And you saw how easy that installation was. If you're going to need that brake controller for any of your towing capabilities here on your 2021 Jeep Grand Cherokee, that was the CURT Discovery brake controller. My name's Ian with eTrailer. Do appreciate you and have a great day.